Wanted to start a series on some frequently asked questions that we get asked constantly. And so I believe that this is going to help a lot of people today. And what we're going to discuss is someone that's sitting out there saying, help, my loved one or my teenager is addicted to drugs and alcohol. What do I do now? I believe that there's millions of people out there that are sitting there thinking that question. I'm in my house. My loved one's struggling with this. I don't want the neighbors to know. I don't know who to reach out to. I don't even know where to begin as how to help them out. And that's what we intend to do with this video. So my name's Justin. I was a 15-year drug addict and got over 10 years clean and sober now. And I have made it my life's mission to help out people who are stuck in addiction and alcoholism. I've helped thousands of people through mentoring, through sponsoring people, through our nonprofit organization, through our weekly recovery meetings that we have. And so just wanted to do a video to help someone who's asking that question. What do I do to help my loved one? And so the first thing, this is probably going to be hard to hear because I know you so desperately want to help them. You want to be that person to save them, but get ready for number one. The help isn't going to come from you. Unfortunately, you're not going to be the person that's going to be able to help them. Why do I say that? It's because someone that is struggling in this area, it is very hard for someone who has no experience with struggling with drugs, with struggling with alcohol. I believe a lot of people out there probably watching this, you can probably go have a few drinks on the weekend and then be okay with that. And then don't drink again till the following weekend. Or maybe you even had some time where you dabbled in drugs a little bit, but it just got to be too much. You said enough's enough and you just decided it's time for me to quit. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that for myself. It doesn't work like that for millions of people out there. It's never enough. We can't just stop and walk away from it. So the first thing that I need you to get is that the help isn't going to come from you. Who's the help going to come from then? It's going to come from someone who struggles in that same area. It's going to come from someone who is in recovery as well, who has experienced that living hell that your loved one, your teenager is stuck in. And now they're going to be able to share everything they learned along the way, tools that help them out, their experience with God, all these things that help them to become clean and sober. And they're going to be the ones to help your loved one through their personal experience. So that's number one. So the next question that anyone would ask is, do they want the help or do you want the help for them? It's probably another one that's hard to hear. Do they want the help or do you want the help for them? We're going to be unpacking a lot of different topics over the next upcoming video. So I just encourage you, please stay tuned. Check out our other videos that we're going to be dropping. We can talk about some options in a future video of someone who doesn't want the help and things that you can actually do to get them in a place where they have 72 hours that they have to be in this facility, detoxing for a minute, being checked for, anything that's going on with them mentally, but we'll save that for another video. Let's say we approach them and they say, yes, I recognize this is a problem. I do want some type of help. I want to give you a little guidance on some things that are out there on what the next steps would be nationwide for everyone listening. So the first step for a lot of people is a detox. Okay. So a lot of people need a medical detox. And so I'm going to say for nationwide purposes, you're going to have to check your county. You're going to have to check your state to see what they offer. But typically most counties have some type of government sponsored detox facility. So for Manatee County, it's called Centerstone. For Sarasota County, it's called First Step. And so this is the place where your loved one is going to be able to get into. They're going to assess them for everything that they have going on. It's basically a place for them to go through the withdrawal, to go through that medical side of not being on drugs or alcohol anymore, which can last anywhere from 3 to 7 days. And so typically they're using medications to treat any of the symptoms that they're going to be going through. They're under 24-hour care. So basically what that's going to do is that detox is going to help them get through that first 3 to 7 day period. That's really hard for a lot of people. It helps them to get through the hardest part of that withdrawal. So that's the beginning step. So I just encourage you, that involves looking up in your county what your county offers as far as a detox facility goes. Now we'll add and we'll unpack more of these. We're going to do a whole video on just about detox, a whole video on some of these other options. But one thing to keep in mind is they may have to share that they've had some suicidal thoughts, which is probably true for a lot of people in addiction and alcoholism. We'll unpack that in a later video. But for the most part, you hopefully be able to get them into the medical facility for detox. What's next after that? So there's either kind of two options. They have an inpatient option or an outpatient option. So some of your local detoxes may have a 28-day program after that, where it's an inpatient program. They stay on the facility for 28 more days. They're still being monitored. They're being introduced to recovery meetings, steps of the program. That's one option. Another option is an outpatient treatment where they're released from the detox and then they're supposed to report back to that facility. And typically that involves medications. We'll unpack that later. Typically that involves a little bit of accountability with them having to come back for meetings and different things. If you're asking me, I'm personally going to recommend either a long-term program or a sober living house from that step. The biggest call that we get with what we do is what do I do with my loved one, let's say after they come out of that detox, or maybe they're just able to stop on their own for at least a few days. What do we do next? Two options there. One is a long-term program. Long-term program means they're going somewhere for anywhere from 6 months to 2 years, and it's a program where they stay on that premises, and that particular company, they have whatever they have to offer as far as meetings, as far as a living facility. They take care of, food, all their material needs. And so that gives your loved one a chance to be able to just heal their minds for a little while, right? There's some people that aren't ready to jump back into society and getting a job and all those pressures. So some people need a little more time than others to go through and kind of reset their brain, allow their brain to heal, to give them times to learn about recovery programs, learn about God, all that. I know in our area, we have local connections to many that long-term programs in multiple counties that are just absolutely amazing. A lot of them are actually able to help your loved one for free if they're in a homeless situation. And so there's so many options out there. Again, I can only speak to what's in Manatee and Sarasota County, but if you're watching this in another state, I would just Google, long-term programs, long-term rehabs, and see what your county, see what your state has to offer as far as that goes. So next, if the long-term program is maybe something they don't want to commit to, because let's just be real, some people, they hear a year and a half, 2 years, I don't want to be away from my family for that long. I have kids, I have responsibilities, and a lot of us get that. We understand that part of it. So a primary function of what we do is we help people. Maybe they're out of the detox, they stopped on their own. What's the next step? It's to get them into a sober living house, otherwise called a halfway house. So this is a very important part of the process, because what this does is, I'll just unpack this for a second. So halfway house meaning half freedom. So your loved one gets to go to a place where they live in a house that's shared with either men for men or women for women, and they have some type of accountability, they have some type of rules, but they are able to go and kind of come and go as they please during the day, with the idea of to secure a full-time job, to be able to go to recovery meetings, and then also to have some type of accountability in place, meaning there's curfews every single night. They have to be home at a certain time. There's typically chores that need to be done at the house, keep their area clean. Also, the big part of this step is there's random drug and alcohol testing. And the well-ran sober living houses are going to say if someone does come up positive or they do use, unfortunately, they are asked to leave. And that's for the protection of the men or women in that house that are doing the right thing, so they don't have to be around someone who is high or drunk. So what this does is allows them to go to a place where they're going to have some type of accountability, some type of rules set in place for them, and it allows them to kind of get back in the natural swing of life by securing the job, starting to get money coming in, and become a self-sustaining member of society again, while focusing on God and their sobriety also. finally, the most important part, right? No matter where they go or any of these environments, the most important thing next is recovery meetings. So I would assume that everyone watching has heard of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, NA, Narcotics Anonymous. Those are the two main groups that people go to. They have the 12 steps, which is a very important part of this process. Guys, I'm highly suggesting to you that you make this a high priority of suggesting to your loved ones that they go to these recovery meetings. Some are a little more faith-based, so we actually do one called High on Jesus, where we are all about the 12 steps of AA. We just kind of know the higher power that we're talking about. There's Celebrate Recovery out there. So there's so many programs, but the bottom line is the 12 steps. And what this is this is almost like an instruction manual to help your loved one completely change their life. And this is typically done with a sponsor. You've heard that term before. A sponsor is someone who has, gone through the 12 steps or a majority of the 12 steps, and now they're going to guide someone else through how to do that also. So everyone has a sponsor that kind of walks them through this process and helps them with understanding and doing really these 12 steps, because this is a very important part. And so, I can tell you, regardless of which option that you choose here, right? There's not going to be one that's just going to be this sudden game changer. So please don't think, oh, how do I make the right decision, right? It's just about seeing what they're willing to do, supporting them on this journey. And even when I went to some big money rehabs, right? I think my mom sent me across the state, $30,000 rehab, right? Even at the end of it, the last thing they said when I left is, don't forget, get a sponsor, work the steps, go to these recovery meetings. And so I'll just close with this. It is so important for your loved one, for your teenager, to be surrounded by people who are going through the same experiences they are. To be surrounded by people who are in recovery on a daily basis and who, take their sobriety very, very seriously. Because here's the common mistake that happens. We get sober for a minute. We start to feel good. I got a month or two clean, right? And then I think, I don't need those meetings. I don't need to go around any of those people. And we start working and we get some money in our pocket, and we're just around normal people, quote unquote. And for some reason, when we disconnect from that, at some point it starts to come back on us, and it starts to sound like a good idea to use a drink or a drug again. And as soon as we do that, all the insanity repeats itself. And so I just encourage you, just listen to all those suggestions that we just gave you. Connect your loved one with some of these options, and just always say, please, I would love for you to continue to go to these recovery meetings, because those are the people there that are going to be able to help your loved one, help your teenager to be able to move forward with their life. Again, we're going to be doing some more in-depth videos on all of those different options. So stay tuned. If you're watching it now, there's going to be some great videos coming your way, or maybe you're watching this in the future. I encourage you to go to our channel and look at all the videos that we have listed there, and you can get a more in-depth breakdown of each of these options that we listed. So I wish you the best. Pray for your loved one that's struggling. Pray for your family, and anything we can do to help you out, please let us know. God has called us to something higher, freed us from the slavery of addiction, blessed us in so many ways.
Like it talks about in the Bible, that unity that's going to bring people to Christ.
When you pray those prayers from a place of desperation, no matter what is going on in my life, God has this covered.